Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Game Plan. I'm Judy, he's Quentin, and it's week 10. We're going to go through our favorite prop bets for this week and see who we think is going to smash and who's going to fail. Drop your best bets in the comments and hit the like button for us. That helps us out. How last week was a little bit tough. How'd we end up doing?
Yeah, we ended up going 3-4 on the bets we gave out last week. Overall, we're still up 23.5 units on the season. That was our first negative week. We had one 50-50 week, and the other ones we've been positive. So we got it out of the way, at least, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. We had a couple of our touchdowns come through, which saved us from like a heavy loss. Stephon Diggs got into the end zone at a plus 150. So we'll be looking at a couple more values there too.
Yeah, that parlay didn't hit with Aaron Rodgers not holding up his end of the deal in that game. Who knew they were going to get ahead?
Yeah,
Anyhow,
that was a weird
speaking
game
of
script.
yeah, speaking of last week, we did give out a couple futures that are looking even better this week. Which one did you have?
Yeah, so last week we gave out the Patriots to get the number one overall seed in the AFC. This was kind of a spinoff of Drake May MVP. That was plus 500. We gave out the Patriots one seed at plus 700. With their win against the Falcons and that Colts loss, they actually moved that value to plus 450. So hopefully you got on that last week. We also gave out the Steelers to win the AFC North at plus 175. And with that win, the value moved to plus 135. So even though it kind of tanked our parlay last week, at least it helped us in our future market. So we were kind of
E-
both sides on that.
Exactly. And if you bet really well last week, you waited until after the Ravens won on Thursday night because that plus 175 actually went to a plus 200 before the Colts lost. So if you caught it right before Sunday, but after the Ravens win, then it was even better. What are we going to go with this week? Do you have another futures bet for us?
I do. So I was looking at some win totals and just how are we looking at the rest of the season? What are we projecting for teams about the halfway point? And one that stood out to me as just kind of a value right now is the Lions win total at 10.5. And that feels a little high. And there's actually money on the under too. So I like under 10.5 wins at plus 140. And maybe this is just reactionary against how they looked against the Vikings, but this team looks kind of beat up right now.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because I don't, their offense isn't the beat up part. It's more their defense and their line. We're not seeing it, as we're playing fantasy because it's not like they lost Amon Ra or or Jameer Gibbs. It's kind of those hidden people that where all the injuries are.
Yeah, but we're kind of losing them in the trickle down effect too, where it's like we saw Jameer Gibbs basically do nothing on the ground, or even Montgomery struggled too. So they're kind of bottled up. And just to look at their health, so this was something that we talked about coming into the season. We talked about them losing their two coordinators. We talked about their O line taking a step back due to some key departures. But their O line is incredibly beat up. They have four linemen on IR. And this week, all three of their tackles that they have active are questionable to play, including Penei Sewell. So who knows who is going to be up front for Goff and Gibbs and Montgomery. And then on the defensive side, they have an additional 8 players on IR. So they are just looking so banged up already. And we're already past their bye.
Yeah, and they're sitting at 5 wins right now, so they can get 5 more wins, and that will do it. 9 games remaining. Ooh, this week, I'm gonna probably give them a win over the Commanders, who are even more beat up than them.
They are. I do think the Commanders might make it a game at home, but they do have some difficult opponents coming up. They have to play Philadelphia at Philadelphia. They have another game against Green Bay. They play Dallas. They play at Los Angeles. They play Pittsburgh, and then they end with 2 divisional games that are going to be on the road too against Minnesota and Chicago. So overall, you can find 5 wins. It's really tough to get to 6. I have them around the 10, but if I'd had to lean a direction, it'd be under the 10 wins too. So I think the plus 140 is too good to pass up.
Okay, I like it. It's positive money. They're hard to find nowadays when the sports books are taking everything they can. What do we have for this week? What are you gonna start us off with?
Okay, so for this week, we have a couple of longest completions to start off with. So first, we're going to target the red hot Seahawks offense and Sam Darnold. And we are actually going to go the other way. We're going to take the under 37.5 longest completion. First off, for a longest completion bet, this one is extremely high. You typically see quarterbacks around 33 to 35. So 37.5 is already a little higher than I would like. I like taking the under and being on that side of it, but really it's that Cardinals matchup. The Cardinals defensive style just kind of dictates they will give it up underneath, but they do everything in their power to prevent that long completion. They play the second highest rate of two high safeties and they blitz the fourth lowest rate. So they have maximum amount of players back and just preventing that deep pass, and they're fine kind of letting teams dice them up underneath, just preventing that big play.
Okay, I can go with that. I am a little concerned there. I mean, they do have Jackson Smith-Njigba, and now they've got Rashid Shaheed coming in as well, which are two of the best wide receivers, I feel like, at getting open and making those big, long plays.
Not to mention Torrey Horton also looked good.
Very
But
true.
the Cardinals have also played some other explosive passing offenses, and they've been under on this mark. So they've only allowed it twice this year. And actually, the two teams they've allowed it to were not the two teams that you'd expect. It was the Tennessee Titans and the Carolina Panthers. But they did hold the Cowboys under this mark. They held the Packers under this. They held the Colts under this, all with great passing offenses.
Okay, I can go with it. Next up, it looks like you've got Jaxson Dart
Yes.
and some Dart magic.
We do. If you listen to our DFS, I like Jaxson Dart, and I kind of saw the value for his longest completion here too. Against that vulnerable Chicago secondary, I like over 33.5 for his longest completion at minus 110. And Dart's been kind of slinging it. He has hit this mark in 3 of his last 4 games against really good defenses. So that was against Philly twice, Denver, and San Francisco were those 4 matchups, and he's already hit it 3 of the last.
And now he gets the Bears, who I'm pretty sure that Flacco hit this last week against the Bears.
Yeah, Flacco hit it with both his wide receivers. So both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins got an over 33.5 for their longest completion. Some other quarterbacks to do this against the Bears: Tyler Huntley, Spencer Rattler. So I feel good about Jaxson Dart. The only quarterbacks that didn't hit this mark were Geno and McCarthy, and that was back in the early weeks before week 5 when the Bears secondary was looking a lot stronger.
All right, so we're expecting Jaxson Dart to throw it down the field and Sam Darnold not
to be a little contained,
even though one has all the wide receivers and the other doesn't.
Exactly. This is just welcome to the NFL, but really it's been those defensive matchups that kind of can dictate what is given to the offense.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next we're going to not Lamar Jackson, but the Baltimore Ravens team. Who do you like in that game?
Yeah, and one of his wide receiving options. There's actually a lot of ways I want to attack the Ravens this week. I do like them against Minnesota and that defense. I think it's a good matchup. And I wanted to focus on Isaiah Likely over 23.5 receiving yards, minus 113. This connection has taken a little bit to get going with both injuries to Likely and then Lamar. So they finally have just been on the field together the past couple weeks. And last week we saw the potential. He got to 60 yards. We also should see his opportunities kind of increase in the future. He is kind of their future. Mark Andrews, they're going to have to make a decision on what to do with him. He is not on contract at the end of this year, and Likely is their future. So I think we're going to start to see that transition probably as soon as this week. And 23.5 just seems too low against a zone heavy Minnesota team that blitzes a lot.
Yeah, we saw last week that the star of the Lions playing the Vikings team was Sam Laporta, and he was the only one getting a lot of the passes. So the tight ends are clearly a little bit of a weak spot for the Vikings, or you're just checking it down, I guess. And that's going to put Likely in a good place. I think they're going to be using both Likely and Mark Andrews. I don't know what his line is, but I probably would like it equally as well. We just haven't seen that connection either with Lamar and his wide receivers, even on Flowers.
Yeah, we haven't seen that yet. The other note, too, is just with the amount of defenders that Minnesota brings on the blitz, you can kind of use 12 personnel to slow that down with multiple tight ends and Andrews and Likely both on the field. And Andrews is the much better pass blocker in that case. if they're going to have one of them do like a chip block on the edge to help out Lamar, it would be Andrews and likely would be running the route.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if they try to keep both of these guys. Who's getting a touchdown this weekend?
So for touchdown scorers, the first running back that I liked here is a home running back that is kind of due for it. He didn't get into the end zone last week, and it is Devon Achane at minus 135. He's just too talented to contain for long, and he has a great matchup here against a Bills team that has been giving it up on the ground and explosive plays. So that's kind of Achane's specialty. I like him here in this matchup, and so minus 135 seems like a good price.
Yeah, minus 135 is definitely a good price, and I don't think you keep him out of the end zone twice. If you don't really like the 135, then I've got a parlay for you, a two-leg parlay to pair him with someone else that stayed out of the end zone with Jahmyr Gibbs. You can get that. Jahmyr Gibbs is a minus 180, so it's not like you really want to play that on its own. But if you put them together, you get a plus 171.
Nice. Yeah, a little positive money there for two running backs that are just too good to be kept out of the end zone. For
Yep.
kind of the mid range to pair with Jaxson Dart. So when it rains, it pours. And who's going to be catching that his longest completion? Hopefully that is Darius Slayton at a plus 240 for his touchdown. He's gotten some end zone targets. He's gotten some red zone targets. He just hasn't come down through it. He has 0 touchdowns on the season so far. We know Slayton's always due for a couple of touchdowns every single year. And really, there's not a lot of other wide receiving options out there. It's him and Wan'Dale Robinson. I think they'll be able to move the ball against Chicago. So I like him here at plus 240.
I do like that Chicago game and the going on the Giants side. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in that game. I can't believe that the Bears are doing as well as they are this year.
Yeah.
Especially seeing how many points they let the Bengals score last week.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
their defense does not give them any favors.
What are we finishing out our touchdowns with? What's the long shot here?
So the long shot here just seems like a bad price right now, and that is Terrell Jennings, the running back for the New England Patriots. And a lot of this is because with Ramondre probably still hurt, so he missed Thursday's practice. I'm going off after the assumption that Ramondre is not playing, and it's going to be Travion and Terrell Jennings splitting work too. They kind of split 50-50, but near the red zone, Jennings was the back. Yeah. And Vrabel likes Jennings. He always talks him up. So why is Jennings at a plus 475 value and Travion Henderson is sitting there at plus 115? That makes no sense to me. I would put them at the exact same price, probably around plus 200.
It's kind of crazy that Travion Henderson hasn't become the back like we expected. You know, both of us were in preseason. We're all over Travion Henderson. And nope, he is going to be in a share. It does not matter who we have to bring up from the practice squad. He's in a share.
Yeah. So, and the coaching staff likes Jennings. He's hidden all of his assignments. So I think plus 475 is just so much value for a goal line running back on a good offense.
Yeah. He is on a good offense, and it's going to be in a very competitive game, I think, here in Tampa Bay against the Bucs.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
excited about that game. What's our parlay?
For our parlay, originally I had a teaser, and then I realized you could actually do a better value and get better bang for your buck if you just parlayed the alt lines together. So this is some kind of nasty home teams this week, and we have Houston, the New York Jets, and the Carolina Panthers. So we're going to play Houston plus 7.5. The original line's 1.5. We're going to do an alt line plus 7.5, get above that touchdown. And it really just, I want to back this defense against Trevor Lawrence with no weapons. That's what I'm counting on here. We had a whole season of Davis Mills. We know he's not terrible. You know, we're getting at least like backup quarterback play. And behind that offensive line, are we even going to see that much of a drop off between what Stroud was doing behind that offensive line versus what Davis Mills is going to do? The operations get the ball out quick and to Nico.
You know, you can sell me on Houston. This whole parlay goes against everything that I try not to bet on. I don't like betting on losing teams, and the Texans and the Jets are losing teams. Not Carolina, but I can go with the Carolina leg here. I need you to sell me on the Jets.
All right.
Why would you bet on the Jets after they just had a fire sale this week?
Yes, the New York Jets are not going to be a popular team to bet on this week. But really, these are professionals. Everyone in that building is still heavily incentivized to win. Aaron Glenn is a new head coach. He needs every win he can possibly have to not be a one and done in this and show that he can actually bring a good culture to this program. And then Justin Fields also kind of has that proven mentality. He's even talking about the owner as outside noise and they're focused. So this team is still rallied around each other and they are going to be playing hard. I think for Aaron Glenn, it's also against a terrible opponent. I think I would like anyone in the league plus 7.5 against the Cleveland Browns is kind of the other part of it. So give me the Jets at home plus 7.5 against Dylan Gabriel. Like I want to fade Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I can't get on board with the whole Jets piece of this parlay. It just blows my mind. Aaron Glenn can't even decide who's going to start, Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor. It's still a mystery. I don't think he's decided yet, and it's Thursday.
Yeah. And I also like the Judkins shoulder injury and him being a little banged up into this matchup makes me feel better about it. If it was fully healthy, then I think I would like Cleveland a little bit better here. And that's why I'm not taking the regular Jets line of plus 1.5. This has moved from a Jets -2 to a Jets plus 1.5 after the trade deadline. So I want to take the alt line plus 7.5.
Okay. Well, I think you're just hoping that the Browns really can't win by more than a touchdown.
The Browns are also pretty infamous for not knowing how to win football games, too.
That is true. How about Carolina, the last leg?
So for the last leg, Carolina is our anchor, and we're just taking the money line here. And originally I was going to do the teaser, but I didn't like going over 0, so you're kind of losing some value. That's why we just have this parlay here already made. You can just copy and hit the link slip available there. And so I like them here against Tyler Shuck. I like them at home. I think it's a great matchup here. And Rico Dowdle has looked so good. I think if all else fails, they'll just be able to hand it off to him and he'll get the job done. I think they can get a little flashier, and I'm hoping they do, but I'm not too worried about the Saints. The Saints are probably going to let Tyler Shuck try to prove that he can be it and try to give him a few more opportunities. And I think they're going to quickly see that is not the answer and not the right move.
Yeah, and they took away one of his wide receivers, one of his targets, so that
So
doesn't go well for him. And it's the Panthers at home, not the Panthers on the road.
yeah, instead of thinking about it as backing bad teams and backing Houston and the Jets and Carolina, think about it as a bet against Trevor Lawrence, Dylan Gabriel, and Tyler Shuck. That's how I'm framing in my mind. Maybe don't turn the games on and just watch the bet slip cash, hopefully in Sunday afternoon.
All right, I'll try to think of it that way, but the Jets, oh my gosh, I'm going to be going, how are the Jets going to pull this off? Well, that's it for the Week 10 player props. Tell us your favorite play in the comments. Hit the like button for us. Play smart, have fun, and we will see you next week.